Welcome back to this mini course. Trust, the key to spiritual growth, real flow, and better results in life. We're on module 4, which is about trusting the interplay, flowing with reality instead of forcing it. So, a major theme that's already emerged in this course is that when we're driven by shame and we're disconnected from who we really are, we try and force everything. We try and control everything. But real life itself is about the flow. So this module is about getting back into that flow and living in a real way, learning to move with life, the boomerang effect, how trust creates more trust. So we keep talking about this positive spiral. There's a thing called the boomerang effect. If you're putting realness out there because you trust and you're connected to wholeness and who you really are, things are going to respond well. The energy you're putting out is going to come back as a reflection of that. If you don't trust and you're holding back and you're hesitating and you're beating yourself up and you've got this inner critic and all that kind of thing, well, things are probably going to go wrong purely because that's what you're putting out there and you're blinding yourself to the opportunities and the steps that you could be taking if you did trust. So when you trust life, it responds in ways you couldn't predict, you can't predict. That's what makes trust so powerful. When we're in the ego, like we keep saying, we think we can control everything. We think we're in charge of everything. We think everything's going to go in alignment with our plans. But our plans are always based on the assumptions that we have about who we are and what life is, not on life itself. And so when you trust life, the information that you get is coming from a much bigger source. It's not just coming from what you already know. You're open to new information, which allows you to take actions that maybe you didn't initially think of, but also it allows things to happen that maybe you didn't predict. The map is not the territory. If you stick too much to the ego's plan, then you're never going to get where you want to be. Never. The less you force, the more things flow effortlessly, though you still need to make an effort. One thing I want to make clear in this course is that trust doesn't mean that you don't put any effort in. You still have to take action. You still have to battle yourself to let go of all the illusions and the things that stop you trusting. And that means that initially, before things get into this effortless kind of flow that does eventually come, it takes a bit of effort and a little bit of force, if you want to use that word. But eventually gets to this point where you don't force at all because you've learned to let go. That's what the effort is, learning to let go. And then things are just going to move. You're going to build momentum as long as you keep acting like that baby on the bridge and taking the actions that you need to take. And so we can say that life kind of operates on this boomerang effect. If you let go and you trust and you get to that point where you're in touch with your real energy, wholeness, that is going to come back to you. But you can't do that if you're forcing things. Forcing things just disrupts your relationship with the flow of life. And so force creates more resistance, but trust creates more flow. That's the way to look at it. A lot of the time, when we don't trust, we put our trust in false gods. I believe the real God is just truth, wholeness. People end up, when they're trying to force and control things, putting their trust in substitutes for the truth. So it might be work. If only I work harder, I'll be safe. Relationships. If only they love me, I'll finally feel okay. I'll finally fill that void. Money. If I just make more money, my life will finally be fine. I'll have no more problems. These are all external sources of trust. It's another example of trying to fill the void in an unreal way. What you need to do is to forget about all these external sources and to learn to trust the actual foundation of life itself, which is reality, truth, and having a relationship with that and the natural flow towards wholeness that is always unfolding. If you trust these false gods, then ultimately you just create friction, because the only reason you go chasing these things is because of the void and your disconnection from yourself. And they just end up creating obstacles. And again, it comes back to what I said in the last module about how if you learn to build from the bottom up and get in touch with your realness first, and then build these things into your life, then you'll be okay. You'll have a better time because you'll be flowing. All of these things are good, of course. I'm not saying that work, relationships, money, etc. are bad things. They're all very good things. I love all of these things, but they're not the best thing. If you treat work as the best thing, as though it's going to solve all your problems and fill the void and make you feel safe all the time, it's going to detach you from your internal safety that comes from being connected to realness. If you treat your relationship as the best thing ever, which is your only meaning in life, so that you can feel okay, you can feel good, you can feel like there's no shame, then eventually, if that relationship ends or if that person disappoints you, you're going to have a terrible time because you haven't worked on that shame first and foremost and gone into that relationship in a real way. The same with money. If you keep telling yourself, right, if I finally get enough money, all my problems are going to be gone, but you don't fill that void, you don't work on the shame, then you don't have a solid foundation. And so that's why worshipping, if you want to use that word, these false gods is going to cause more friction, and it's going to cause you to force things because you'll be chasing these things so much and forcing life and forcing these things to meet the needs that you think they're going to meet, that you take yourself out of the flow of life. And so you need to understand, if you're trying to use something as a substitute for the truth, let go of it if you are, and then get in touch with the truth first so you can heal your relationship with yourself and then bring things into your life, or just trust that you'll take the actions that are going to take you towards them. Ultimately, it comes down to fighting reality. If you're fighting reality, you're going to end up forcing life in some way or another. And so that's what I really just want you to start asking yourself with this module. Where are you fighting life? What's one thing in your life that you're forcing right now? Are you forcing things because you've put one of these false gods on a pedestal and you're chasing it no matter what? And it's having an effect on other areas of your life and your relationship with yourself. If you're doing that, then you're not going to be in the flow of life. You're going to be forcing things and things aren't going to work out. You're not going to be able to trust. What are you putting your trust in besides the truth? It might be the examples that I just gave you, or it might be something totally different. But either way, the structure is always the same. You've put something on a pedestal. You're externalizing some inner thing that exists already within you. You're externalizing that onto this thing, thinking that the thing that you're chasing is going to fill the void, and not just allowing the void to be filled in the way that we spoke about in the last module, by learning to dissolve it, by facing it and observing it. Whatever it is that you find yourself clinging to or fighting reality by using as a tool to try and fill the void in an external way, how can you let go and trust instead? It might involve facing a lot of emotional discomfort to do that, but I can assure you, you're going to be able to flip the script, and whatever it is that you're putting on a pedestal and trusting instead of just the truth and your relationship with the truth, it's no longer going to have power over you, and it's no longer going to be motivating you to force life to try and bring something into your life that you don't even need. Remember what we said about Carl Jung? What you resist persists. What you trust flows. Take these things off the pedestal. Stop chasing things that are not real. Appreciate the good things in your life, but build that foundation of trust first by giving up any fight that you have with reality and learning to let go. It's very difficult to do initially. That's why it takes effort before it becomes effortless. But when you do let go of those unreal relationships with these false gods, as we call them in this course, your life will get so much better and you will flow, because those things, the weight of those things, will not be weighing you down. So that was a very quick module. That was module 4. The more you trust life, the more it supports you. That's the key takeaway. But if you're blocking your path because you're forcing everything, because you're overvaluing things because of the void in your relationship with it, then it's going to hold you back and slow you down. You're not going to be able to trust in the way that you need to. So next module coming up, module 5, is restoring balance, trusting your body and your nervous system. We're going to talk about the relationship between the nervous system and trust. If you want an action step based on this module, practice letting go of one forced situation, one forced goal that you have. Look at where you're forcing life and learn to let go. But remember, trust isn't about passivity. It's about moving with life, not against it. When you put these things on a pedestal, you're taking yourself out of life. You're moving against it, because whatever you've put on that pedestal, you're telling yourself is going to give you something that only life can give you. And you can only get it from life if you do your best, let go of the rest, trust yourself, and trust life. So that was module number 4. Hope it helped you. Stay real out there. Peace to you.